Hello and welcome back to Icaria. This is my second in the series in our new scripting features in Icaria 1.0. Here I've moved along in the previous save a bit and built a basic factory here to the point where we can make drones. In addition, I've taken all this area in the front here and cleaned out all the organics and dirt and silt, and I've stored them in these storages down here because I'm going to need them later when I start actually actively farming trees. The next goal is to flatten out this area because I need to build hammer mills in this space. So we're going to write a flattening script. And to do that, I've created a set of beacons. Here's the beacon with the roll flatten. That's the area that I'm removing material from. So I'm going to flatten it down. And then this is the area here that I want to fill. Basically places that are below the terrain, below the level that I want to target for my height. And now in addition, I have two extra beacons here. I've got a flattened target. This beacon marks the height that I want to flatten to. So when I lower the terrain down, I want to lower it to this level. And this is the level that I want to fill to. So if you think of these are sort of in pairs, right? I've got a flatten and a flattened target, which are, hey, remove material from here until you get to this level. And then the fill and the fill target, which says take whatever material you've got and fill here until you hit the fill target. Now, under most cases, you'll probably want to set the fill target, the flat target to be the same. But sometimes, for instance, if I need some extra material and I'm grabbing it from some place that's below my factory, I'll actually set the fill target considerably lower than the flattened target. But so it's just a way of building a more versatile script. So what we do here is I'm going to take this drone like that, and I'm going to start writing a script. First thing we do, let's go into the text editing mode, because that's really what the star of the show is here. And I'm going to say go to roll flatten dot nearest, dot on team. Again, particularly as I get later in the game, I'll probably have multiple teams of drones doing flattening in various areas as I'm trying to grow my base and build outposts and things like that. Dot nearest, this dot team. We went over this in the last video. High point, like so. And then here we get to a conditional. If this dot altitude is greater than, now here's what we do with the flattened target. This dot team, like so, dot nearest dot, well, we don't really need to do that, altitude, like that. So if the drone is higher than our target beacon, so this is the beacon that marks the height we want to flatten to. If it's higher than that, then we want to dig. If we don't, we're going to skip digging and we'll go to parking because we know we're done at that point. And then we'll do a go to, and then fill, like so, dot, and then we'll just grab this up here. Like that. Dot low point. Now we want to go to the low point because we're filling. And if this dot altitude less than fill target on team. Then what we want to do is deposit. We want to put the block down and then play. And then play this. Again, this loops back to the beginning of the script. And then we'll put an end in here for the second if, and then an end in here for the first if. And then we do a go to parking. Dot nearest random point. Like so. Okay, there we have a script. And I'm just going to go ahead and save this as flatten to fill. So the idea here is this is a script basically that takes blocks from a flattening area and sends it to a filling area, like so. Now what I've done with this beacon, let's close this so we can see a little bit here, is I've set it so that it's, so if we look over here, this is include in the filter for the terrain filter. So we put a terrain filter here on limestone, which is this light colored stone up here, and I'm excluding it here. I've selected exclude. So I'm going to take all the blocks that are not limestone. And the other thing I've done is I've set the flatten target and the fill target one tile below my target. I want to flatten to the level of the lander, but I've set these one tile below. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take all this stuff, which is sort of junk that I don't really care about, and fill in all the space like so. And then I'm going to come back and grab the limestone that's up here and use it to put on just the top layer, because I don't have enough limestone to fill the whole area here. So I'm going to use this other material, and I'm probably going to end up using a bit of this hill back here as well. So then what I could do is I could select these drones. Oh, let's take all the other drones here like that. So one of the new features, by the way, in the game is now you can double click on a drone and it finds all the other drones, selects all the drones that are similar. And so we're going to assign them all the terraformer roles. So now if I double click in here, this guy who's the terraformer, and they all have flatten to fill. And so I just set them loose. And this is going to take a little while. So I'm going to cut here and let it run. And once we're done filling in all the space, I'll come back and we'll put the top layer on. Okay, as promised, we're back here. And you'll see that I have taken this whole area and flattened it down to one tile below the level of the lander. And it's, of course, a little bit of a mess at the moment. And then what I've done is I've taken my flatten beacon and switched it so that it selects only the limestone. And then what I'm going to do, don't want to forget this, is I want to take these guys and put them one tile higher like so. And then select this group and just kick it off like so. And what we want to do, hopefully, is I want to make sure that I catch all the limestone. I want to catch the stuff that's in here. So I have the left-hand edge of this because I want to have as much flat space as I can get out of this. I'll do a much more thorough job of flattening once I've unlocked the blast furnace. That's generally when I take my starter base, which is what we've got here, and convert it into a much larger thing that's going to get me to the end of the game. And I'll do a video on that when I get there, which talks about more fully automated, less manual approaches towards flattening with a paving on top, right? Paving the tiles that are on the surface. For the moment, we're going to finish this off like so, and you'll see the drones all figure out that they're done. And oh, that's unfortunate. I didn't quite get all of this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this beacon, I'm going to move it over here a bit because I've got a bit more space I could flatten in. I'm going to move it one tile forward like that. Okay, and move it over here like that. And then grab these drones like this and just finish flattening off a bunch of area here. And I've got this unfortunate little chunk of granite in here, but I won't worry about it too much at the moment. Okay, just a little bit more like that. Donk. You guys come in here and there we go. All right. So I'm going to build some hammer mills, and that'll unlock the crane. And in this video, I think the last bit of the video will talk about how to go about flattening with cranes. So I'll be back in a little bit once I've got my hammer mills built. Okay, I've built my hammer mills now. Also set up a couple kilns here for making concrete and move the ingest here so that down here to the bigger input so that everything that comes in can get processed by the hammer mills if it needs to. Anyhow, we're going to move over to blast furnaces fairly soon. And to do that, we need to clear up a bunch more space and also make a lot of concrete. So I'm going to use this crane to flatten out the area. What I need to do is dig out all the area up here and then use it to fill in the hole. So to do that, we start scripting like so, open this up, switch it into the text scripting mode because that's really what this series is about. And then we say, go to this high point. So when we did flattening with drones, we used beacons to mark the places we wanted to go to, and you go to the highest place in a beacon. With a crane, you can use beacons. We could do the same thing. We could put a beacon down here and use that to flatten the area. But if I just say this high point for a crane, that gives me the highest point in the reachable area of the crane, which is this light white line here on the on the terrain. So if I click that and just let it run, it goes to the highest point. And similarly, I can say this dot low point or this dot random point, and it'll pick a point that the low point or the random point that are reachable by the crane. And then other than that, it looks kind of like a drone script does. Or actually what we're going to do, the other thing we're going to do is when we dig, we're going to dig a whole column all the way down to the height of the train, because we've got a big storage over here. We can hold 2,000 items, so we can hold the whole column. And cranes move kind of slowly, so it's best to do as much digging as you can before you move. So rather than using an if like we did with the drones, we're going to use a while. This dot shovel point dot altitude. That's the other thing, is we can use shovel point. Shovel point is the height of the shovel, just like we did high point, which is the highest point in the area of the crane. The shovel point for a crane is where the shovel is. Shovel only works with the cranes, but it's pretty handy. This dot altitude. So what we're doing here is saying, as long as the shovel is higher than the foundation of the crane, we want to dig. Then we can just say end like that. Okay. And if I let that run, it digs one column all the way down to the height of the foundation. And then we say, next thing we're going to do is, we could just loop this, right? And flatten everything. But then what happens, we do risk the possibility that we can overflow the crane. So what we're going to do is we're going to alternate dig and deposit. And so go to this dot low point, like so. This dot shovel point. Less than this dot altitude. And then we say deposit. But I don't want to just deposit everything. I want to hang on to the organics and dirt and what am I looking for? And silt. That's the other one. Because I'm going to use those later when I start farming trees. So what I'm going to do is, instead of depositing everything, I'm going to say deposit mud, stone plus granite. And so we use set notation for items. So mudstone is a set of all 5 kinds of mudstone, and granite is a set of all kinds of granite. If I add these two together, I get this union set. And then deposit, what it does is it picks one item out of that set. And in fact, what it does is it cycles through. So it iterates through all the options that it has that matches the set, and picks one, and then it goes to the next, and it goes to the next. So you'll see, if you do the deposit in a loop with cranes, you'll start seeing stripes of different types of tiles because it alternates. Now there's another thing we have to watch out for here, which is when I do this dig here, I got 35 items. Now, how deep is the hole down here? The deepest spot down here? I don't know, but it might be more than 35 tiles deep. And if that's the case, then we're going to get into this loop, and the shovel point altitude is never going to get to this dot altitude, because the deposit's going to run out of stuff to deposit before you've filled up the column. So we want to handle that. One way to do that is to say we want to end the loop if this dot storage dot contains... we want to stay in the loop only if it contains mudstone plus granite, like so. And then the loop will never get to this deposit. We'll exit the loop if we run out of mudstone or granite, never get to the deposit. And then it'll go back up here. And in fact, we need to make sure that it goes back up here. So let's do a play this. The moment it runs out of mudstone and granite. The other way we can do this is, instead of putting in the conditional like this, we can get rid of this part. We can say on fail, break, end. So what that does is it says if the deposit command fails, that it breaks out of the loop. And one of the reasons the deposit command could fail is because there isn't any mudstone or granite. So we're basically letting the deposit do the test to say, hey, if there's not mudstone or granite, then I'm going to not deposit something and I'm going to fail. The on fail catches it, and the break statement says break out of the while loop. So this will at least get us started. And you can see we're digging, and then we're filling in the deepest column in the And then we're digging the highest column and filling the deepest column. And it'll keep running until it gets all the way done. So I think that's about it for what I want to cover in this video. You know how to flatten with cranes, you know how to flatten with drones. Probably going to do like a fancier flattening script that knows how to do paving and like processing and sorting materials and things like that. So we need to do a fairly large area in this space, and I kind of want to use this limestone to pave it all. So we'll probably build an automated flattening script that basically does the whole job, and we can just let it run. And now is the time to do it, because before I start putting in blast furnaces, I'm going to be tearing up these guys, the two kilns here, because I want to switch the copper over to using the copper and iron over to using the blast furnace instead. So pretty much this is just a temporary base, and we're going to have a new bigger one. And so while I'm doing that, I might as well repave everything and make myself a nice big area to be able to work in. So that's what's coming next. Not sure when that'll be yet, but I'll see you in the next one.